India's recent abstention during the International Monetary Fund's IMF vote on a $2.3 billion loan package to Pakistan was not a sign of indifference. It was a calculated expression of opposition. The financial package, which included $1 billion under the Extended Fund Facility, EFF, and $1.3 billion under the Resilience and Sustainability Facility, RSF, was approved by the IMF's executive board amid Pakistan's worsening economic crisis. While the loan passed, India chose to register its disagreement through an abstention, prompting many to question why a stronger stance wasn't taken. IMF procedure: no option for a no vote. The IMF's internal voting mechanism plays a key role in explaining India's decision. The executive board comprises 25 directors, and under IMF rules, voting options are limited to approval or abstention. There is no provision to cast a formal no vote. Thus, India's abstention represented the strongest form of protest permissible under IMF protocols. By abstaining, India ensured its dissent was formally recorded without violating procedural norms. India's core concerns. Despite the procedural constraints, India's abstention was far from symbolic. It was grounded in long-standing concerns about Pakistan's financial behavior, governance, and regional conduct. 1. Chronic dependence on IMF support. India highlighted Pakistan's repeated recourse to IMF aid. 28 out of the last 35 years have seen some form of financial intervention. The frequency, with 4 separate IMF programs approved in just the past 5 years, raised questions about the design and efficacy of these support measures. India contended that such repeated bailouts without rigorous reforms incentivize poor fiscal discipline and systemic dependency. 2. Risk of terrorism. Financing. Perhaps the most serious concern raised by India was the possibility of IMF funds being diverted to support state-sponsored terrorism. India has consistently accused Pakistan of harboring terrorist networks operating across the border and argued that international funds, if not carefully monitored, could inadvertently finance activities threatening regional peace and security. These concerns are magnified by Pakistan's past scrutiny under the Financial Action Task Force, FATF, for inadequate efforts in curbing terror financing. 3. Military dominance in governance. India also took issue with the significant role of Pakistan's military in shaping its economic policies. The military's entrenched presence in civilian affairs, including control over state enterprises and national planning, weakens governance, hampers transparency, and raises red flags about fund utilization. India emphasized that any IMF support should come with strong governance standards and civilian oversight. A diplomatic message to the global community. India's abstention served as a nuanced yet clear diplomatic signal. It reflected New Delhi's growing concern that multilateral financial institutions must exercise greater caution when approving aid to nations with histories of poor governance, military influence, and geopolitical aggression. By abstaining, India signaled to the international community that financial assistance should not be extended unconditionally, especially when it risks being misused or compromising regional stability. India's abstention from the IMF vote on Pakistan's loan package was more than a procedural formality. It was a principled stand within the limits of multilateral diplomacy. Through this act, India raised critical questions about accountability, transparency, and the geopolitical implications of international financial aid. It underscores India's broader strategic posture, advocating for financial responsibility, regional security, and the responsible use of global financial institutions in addressing crises.